When I first started to write this book, I didn't know whether I would be met with respect, ridicule, or scorn. The main reason that I wrote this book was for people to understand that they must accept things for what they are, no matter if certain things sound like Nancy stories. This all began in 1992 with the death of my sister, Crystal, when I was 10 years old. One night, while we were all asleep, someone broke into Crystal's bedroom and kidnapped her. She went missing for weeks until she was found, mutilated almost beyond recognition. Her death was one I could never overcome. I spent years asking myself, who could do such a thing? What human being could literally rip off the flesh of a 13-year-old girl? I would then learn later that 2 teenage boys and 4 young women had died in the same manner that year. 16 years later, in 2008, I was employed at the Trinidad Guardian. There, I was working on a story of a kidnapped girl. Kidnappings were not uncommon in Trinidad at the time. However, this girl, Elizabeth Mahabir, was found in a forested area, dismembered, with her flesh ripped from her limbs. To me, this particular kidnapping and murder bore strong similarities to Crystal's death.
From my understanding, someone removed the louvers from the window near Elizabeth's bedroom and dragged her out of the Mahabir home. Elizabeth's parents said Elizabeth made no sound out of her room, and they found her missing the next day.
Well, the fact that Elizabeth made no kind of sound, do you think that she might have known the murderer in some way?
I don't think so. Upon further investigation, we found traces of chloroform in her bedroom. The murderer probably used chloroform to knock Elizabeth out before taking her out of the bedroom. However, we couldn't find any fingerprints anywhere in her room. Plus, the murderer took the louvers with him, probably making sure we do not identify him.
What can you tell me about the manner in which she was killed? I mean, judging from the way she was found, she was probably ripped limb from limb.
Well, our autopsy did not give any indication that any cutting tools was used. Decaying flesh was still found on her remains. It's as if someone used their bare teeth to rip her skin off her bones.
Do you think Elizabeth's murder may be tied to the murders in 1992?
We are still conducting an investigation, Mr. Mackenzie. However, we can't help but notice the similarity between that case and other cases before it.
What do you mean?
Every 16 years, 7 people, mostly teenagers, young adults, would die.
What are your thoughts on the gruesome murders that are happening recently?
It's real scary. Real frightening for them youths.
My son is 16 years old. Even though he's growing up, I was still frightened for him. Because he likes the lime and thing now. But I feel I gotta make him stop all that.
I find these murders kind of similar to what a monster does do.
A monster?
Yeah, a real monster. My grandmother used to tell me about this monster called the night prowler. It does come out every 16 years to eat up teenagers and things in order to stay young. The night prowler supposedly come down here in a ship from Spain when Trinidad was still Spanish colony. I tell myself that is just Nancy's story. But back in 1976, I had a little cousin who was killed in the same way the night prowler does kill children.
My father used to tell me about the night prowler plenty. How he used to eat up the youth to stay young. I honestly feel like the case now.
My mother used to tell me that the night prowler does eat up young people like a lion every 16 years in order to stay young. As a matter of fact, my grandfather was a policeman around 1960 when the night prowler was supposedly killing children. After that, the killing stopped just so.
So you're saying that you know the killers?
Yes. I was living next to him for about 5 years now. That person never used to come out of their house. And every time you pass by the house, you're smelling a scent like something dead. I can't call the police because they do their work.
Is there anything else you can say about it?
Look, I can't talk about this thing in public, so if you really want to do an interview, come meet me by my house later.
What you gonna do to me?
You wanted to do an interview? So organize. What? You want to ask me anything again or?
You kill these people?
That is what others do to survive. The same way all a human being does eat all a KFC and Subway and thing. Somebody like me does use the flesh of teenagers and young adults to live through the years. But unlike all you, I do go old and dead.
Use this night Paul everybody does be talking about.